Hello parents! In this video I want to share with you 10 things I wish I knew before having a baby. I'm a mom of two, my daughter is 4, my son is 19 months old, and by now there is quite a few things I wish I knew. So the first thing, I knew that I will need some help when becoming a mom, when having a newborn, but I didn't realize what is it exactly that I will need help with. And it's not the baby. New moms need help with chores, house tasks, taking care of themselves, someone giving them food, because sometimes literally the baby is glued to you and you can't even get up and put something in a microwave. You don't need someone to be able to hold your baby for you, because that baby will either want a mama only, or that baby will just sleep for the most part, and you will be recovering from the birth. You won't be sleeping well anyways, because you're gonna have to change diapers and take care of your baby at night, whether he or she sleeps well or not. So you need lots of help, literally with things like switching your bed sheets, loading the laundry, making some food. So I highly recommend you talk about this with your partner and with whoever it is able to come and stay with you to help you. Maybe it's your mother-in-law, maybe it's your mom. Explain them that most probably, this is not just my experience, I heard this from so many moms, most probably they will have to be ready to do the work and not to just hold the baby, which that can be also the case, but for the most part, if someone is coming to help you, tell them what the expectations are. Next, I wish I knew how a real day with a baby, and especially a newborn, looks like. What is the routine? How is my life is gonna look like when I have a baby? I had no idea, and I wish I just utilized the source that I had, YouTube. Even though I already had my channel at this point, somehow YouTube did not serve me the videos 24 hours with newborn, night with a newborn. Somehow in my life I was not exposed to like little babies and actual routine with them and their needs. I did prepare myself, you know, exploring the internet and all that. I did not have friends who had kids, and I had to learn all of this on my own, and sometimes the hard way. And I highly encourage you, just watch those videos so you kind of know what's to come, because I heard different insights from moms. Some moms are surprised of how much physical work, actual labor it is to have a baby and take care of the baby. Some moms like me, I wish I knew how hard will this be mentally, how crazy hormones are after having a baby and for a while. And then another thing I wish I knew, how much I need to prioritize sleep and how bad it is to feel sleep deprived and how dangerous it can be to feel sleep deprived. So definitely watch those 24 hours with newborn videos. If you have friends with kids, try to notice more of the routine things they do. Maybe ask to spend a day with them or something like that, so you can have a peek into reality, into your daily life that is to come, so that is not like shocking to you. Yes, the baby is a lot of physical work, but mentally it's also so hard, and sometimes it's also very isolating, especially if it's your first baby and your spouse is working, let's say, and you're home alone with the baby. There's no one really to talk to, like an adult. Even when your baby is a toddler, you still feel like alone. When you have two babies, spoiler alert, you don't have a moment to think about being bored, so that's not a problem. We're talking here about the first babies. So it was definitely like that for me. Even though it seemed like I was super busy, those tasks often were pretty boring and pretty lonely, even feeding around the clock. Some other random routine things that you have to do, they can definitely throw you off, and all the hormones are very tricky after birth, especially first couple of weeks. Even if you don't have postpartum depression or anxiety, which you should be keeping track of yourself and your thoughts and everything, because that can be very dangerous too. You will most probably have baby blues, which is definitely a very not normal, well, normal but very hard state, where you're very emotional when you're not sleeping, or you had like traumatic birth experience, or something happened to your baby after birth where he or she had to be hospitalized, which was my case. It was so hard. It can put a strain on your marriage, it can put a strain on your mental health in your circle. You can fight with people, you can feel very unhappy, and you're supposed to feel happy, right? You're supposed to feel bonded with your child instantly, which is also not the case. I wish I knew that sometimes, or maybe even often, because again, I heard this a lot, sometimes you don't instantly feel the love and the bond that you hope you'd feel, especially if your baby is needing some care and taken away from you, or other things that happen. And that's okay, you will grow to love your baby very soon. Most importantly, just don't feel guilt for it. It's a whole new human you see first time and you're supposed to take care of and love instantly. You definitely have those mother instincts kick in right away, but you're still getting to know each other. That's okay, you know, take your time, give yourself grace. Through the whole motherhood, just give yourself grace. Don't compare yourself. Go with what your heart tells you and look for answers. And so since I mentioned about hospitalization of baby and baby being away from you, just in case for you to know, because apparently this is more common than I thought, even if your baby is full term, even if you had natural delivery, even baby is supposedly healthy, there are some things that can go wrong during birth, which is no one's fault and especially not yours, that can take a baby to a NICU, neonatal intensive care unit, where they will need some help breathing, maybe some other things, and they might need a couple of days there. And I had no idea this is possible, but I heard from another YouTube mom that that was the case. My friend recently had the same experience. My daughter swallowed the amniotic fluid when she was born. I had quite fast labor. They say that could happen during fast labor, and she needed help breathing. So just for you to know that sometimes unexpected things can happen, even if you're going all natural, no interventions, just like it was for me. And that's why I was so grateful I had a baby in the hospital, not at home. After that, I totally removed the idea of having a baby at home, which I kind of entertained before. Next, I wish I knew I actually had to recheck what doctors recommend me. And we had a quite sad experience with a vitamin D drops that were recommended for my breastfed newborn, which gave her lots of bad symptoms. Also have a full story video on that. The vitamin D supplement they gave us had horrible reviews on the internet. It had a ton of bad ingredients besides actual vitamin D in there, and when you're in that state in the beginning, mentally, physically, you just, you know, you don't recheck. Your doctor told you. So that's when I completely realized that responsibility is only on me, and I need to double check what my doctor tells you, which supplements, medicine, anything they are recommended for my child. And also sometimes you should actually get a second opinion. And this is not the only not very good experience I had with doctors and their recommendations. And so next thing I want to mention, I wish I knew before having a baby, is that high fever for a healthy full-term baby who is not a newborn anymore, let's say from 3 months up, toddler age, if this fever is very high but you're giving them Tylenol and it goes down and then it can come back up, right? But it keep going down at some point. Like for a healthy baby and toddler, high fever won't do any harm. That's what I've learned after I panicked one night and took my daughter to ER, which she didn't need. In the ER, they gave us a wrong diagnosis, gave her antibiotics for the ear infection she didn't have, and only after a few days of antibiotics, when she developed a rash, we realized it was something else, which called rojola, and you should definitely be aware what that is. And I have a whole video about rojola and symptoms in kids, so that you know if your child having just high fever with no other symptoms for quite a few days and then develops a rash, that's rojola, and there is no treatment for it. You just have to ride that wave. So I wish I knew that high fever, especially in 1-year-olds, and you know, like I said, after 3 months old, healthy full-term babies who had, you know, no other conditions, it's not that threatening. I shouldn't have panicked, should have stayed home and maybe see my doctor next day. And so kind of another thing coming out of this one, I wish I knew that going to ER is not always a great idea. Then a whole another topic of what I wish I knew is baby safety. There is so many things you need to know to assure that your baby, especially like a newborn, an infant, is safe. It's a car seat safety, it's a crib safety, sleep safety, feeding safety, so many other things that they do teach you a little bit in the hospital, but you should really dig into it yourself. I find that mostly people are underlooking the car seat safety, which is unfortunately very dangerous, and also some other not that dangerous but kind of still crucial topics that you need to know for your sake and for your baby's sake, like sleep, routines, breastfeeding, solids. When I was pregnant first time, I was very much into like births, natural births, how do I manage to have a baby myself with no interventions, which I succeeded in that. I was also very much into learning about breastfeeding, taking courses, searching all that information to be prepared, and I learned a lot about that, and thank God I did. But I still overlooked many areas, which is also okay because you just can't know everything. But when your baby is born and he or she is growing, you need to keep learning, keep on learning and keep on learning, because then there is that car seat safety and that sleep and the routine and the sleep regression at 4 months, and then there comes solids. And I've also took courses and was very into making sure that my kids become good, intuitive, healthy, independent eaters, and I've succeeded in that. And currently I'm trying out coaching on solids, starting solids, introducing solids, making sure that your baby becomes intuitive eater and self-feeding child by age 1, eats most of the foods, is not picky, and just have normal healthy relationship with food. I've made a lot of videos on the solids topic here. There's a lot of free information I have on my channel. I have lots of what my kids eat in a day videos. You can check that out to see my results. And if you'd like me to give you advices on your particular situation, if you're about to start solids with your child, or already started solids but feel like you need some help in this department, which I feel you, it's not easy and can be very confusing and actually hard work too. So if you need my advice and you'd like a coaching session one-on-one with me, shoot me an email. You can find it in my description, and I will get back to you with all the details on my coaching sessions. And so as your child grows, I wish I knew how much digging into my past, how I was parented, even though I had great parents and I'm very thankful for them and I love them so much, but I still have to reparent myself on and on every day since having a toddler. I had to learn and still learning so much about kids' psychology, and just learning and trying to implement that is not enough. You're actually reparenting yourself, that's how they call it, in the process, and that's also very hard but very beneficial for you as a parent mentally. And I wish I knew that was a whole another thing dealing with toddlers. Oh my god, like one thing is having a baby and there is a lot of manual labor, like I said, but then toddlers, there is still that manual labor, but then that mental aspect comes in and you need to make sure you don't damage them. So much, there is so much to it. So just know that with every stage that comes, you're gonna have to keep learning. And if you want, if you want to be intentional and would like to break generational cycles. So yeah, I wish I knew that and start learning all of that a little earlier, before I was stuck with the fact that I don't know what else to do but punish my toddler for not obeying. And also, I wish I knew how much having a baby will really impact my relationship with my husband, our intimate life, our communication and feelings to each other in general, how much resentment there can be, what is rage in relationship and even in motherhood is. So many new aspects, so many new feelings. And I kind of knew, baby is hard on your marriage, but that's all they tell you. In reality, you need to get ready for the fact that you won't have sex drive, or at least a normal sex drive, for at least the period when you're breastfeeding, and even after that it's not the same. You are not getting enough sleep for the most part. Parents don't. I still don't. My 4-year-old does not always sleep through the night, and I do have a second child. So it's been a good 5 years from getting pregnant the first time until now, and I was like non-stop breastfeeding, getting pregnant, and it's hard, and also something you need to talk about with your spouse, for them to have realistic expectations and just find ways to push through it. When you feel like your husband or partner is not helping enough, when you feel that you have less time to yourself, when you're feeling touched out, especially when breastfeeding, all of those things and terms you should be aware of as early as possible, and you should communicate this and share this with your spouse so that he knows what's going on with you and what to expect and when this will end and how work your way around it. There is lots of very helpful accounts on Instagram you can find about kids psychology and marriage and kids. So much free and useful information. You just need to be willing to find solutions. And if you'd like me to make a video about tips how to save marriage when having kids, let me know in the comments below. I'll share what we've done to stay together and still feel in love, even though it's not always flowers and rainbows. But we're here, we're together. So if you'd be interested in my advice and what I've done, definitely let me know and give this video a like. I will see you in this one.